Hello to all my brothers and sisters out there, YouTube universe, or wherever you are. Seth Dark Arts back once again, 17th video. Wow, man, last video, sexual transmutation, redirecting that sexual energy. Seemed like I hit a few buttons out there on some people. Hey, what can I say? I'm just a messenger. I'm here sharing information, bringing to you things that you should already know. So, if anyone got offended, hey, I'm not going to apologize because I'm simply bringing forth information that others have been using for a long time. So if anyone wants to try to kick off some type of debate or evoke some kind of emotion from me, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, man. Um, this is what I'm talking about. We've become so sensitive in our society and so coddled like children that people like to get emotional over certain things. You can't even speak your opinion anymore. You say the wrong word and, excuse me, people are ready to attack you, tear you down, ready to start calling you names and coming at you with all that kind of nonsense. But I already told you. I know who I am. I said it before. We are all multidimensional beings. And I know I'm definitely a multidimensional being. And I also told you that I'm a god in training. And I've also told you I'm a dark artist. And not just any kind of dark artist. I'm a Seth dark artist. And these are names that I choose to use and that I made for myself to follow. I've also said in my other videos that you need to detach from all of this nonsense that's going on out here as far as race, nationality, politics, religion, science, or whatever any title, all these other names that people just give out there, they're just names that somebody made up. And just like they made those names, you can make up your own names. You can make up your own titles. Do you. Do what you want to do. Don't worry about the name that somebody else is using. Don't worry about what somebody else is talking about. Information is information. You take it or leave it. Oh man. I'm not speaking to anybody directly, but this is for any future people. And I'm not talking to my brothers and sisters who know, like this type of information and they know where I'm coming from right now. So this ain't for you. This is for people who are coming onto this channel, which is my channel, trying to dictate my moves, telling me how to talk, how to teach. And I told you before, yes, I don't really like the word teacher, but if people are coming to my channel and learning things and it's helping them, then I am a type, some kind of a teacher. That does sort of put me in a teacher category. I don't like categories, but if people learn it from me, then yeah, it does sort of put me there. But I told you many times, we're all equals here. We're all brothers and sisters, and we're learning from each other. And I've said that many, many times. For people who want to send me mail and come at me from different angles, or if you haven't yet and you've walked into this video and you think that you want to do that, watch the whole video first. Watch the video and listen to the message. When I first started putting videos on, I was getting so much hate from different angles. People were talking about I look like a cult leader. People were talking about I'm talking about some cult stuff, and oh, you said why are you making these videos about? Did you watch the video? Were they telling me? No, but I said, all right. So if you didn't watch the video and you didn't know what I was talking about, why are you criticizing the video? Watch the video, listen to what I'm saying, and if you had any sort of, man, let me stop. I don't want to start getting down on people, man, but just watch the video, man. Whoever you are out there, if you came into this video, if you came into one of my other videos, watch the videos. Don't watch one video and start making judgments on what I'm talking about. You got to listen to the information. This information is not for everybody. If you don't like what I said, very simple. Don't watch the video. This message is not for you. For those who said, oh man, his videos are too long, very simple. Turn it off. That's it. Yes, I make long videos. So what? It's my channel. If I want to make a 2-hour video, I'm going to make a 2-hour video. If I want to make a 40-minute video, I'll make a 40-minute video. Why is that bothering me? Don't worry about what I'm doing. And this is the thing. People want information quick. People want everything fast. They want a quick 5-minute, 10-minute video with some witty one-liner or two-liners, and then they could go about their day and have some phony, feeling of enlightenment. And okay, yeah, I'm powered up now. That was a good 5 minutes. The knowledge that I'm talking about, the things that I'm bringing forth to people, this is coming from the other realms. This is coming from my inner reality. This is coming from other realities. This is coming from my inner self. This is coming from ancestors. This is coming from the speakers. I'm going to go into that in a minute. We're going to get into the speakers today. But this is coming from, when you have information coming from the other realms, it can't be rushed. You can't expect me to make a 5 or 10-minute video when I'm going into the type of knowledge that I'm talking about. Everybody wants a quick fix. Like some type of crackhead or something, man. Everybody wants a quick fix. They want things just, get it quick, and then, all right, now I could feel like I'm spiritually enlightened. Or I could feel some type of whatever they think they can feel. This information does not come quick. This is why all that is, the Creator created a pause button. If my videos are too long, you watch half now, you hit pause, and you come back later and watch the other half. Very simple. It's very simple. If the video is 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, watch half now, watch the other half later. Who said that you have to sit down and watch the full video? Common sense. And like I said, I'm not getting on my brothers and sisters out there, but when you start making videos, if you have your own video page, you know that at some point you're going to start having people come at you with some nonsense. And I told you. And I didn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you right now. If you're trying to get me into some type of psychic battle or what you think is a psychic battle, you're not battling anybody. You're battling yourself. Because the battle is with you. If you feel some type of negative response to the message that I'm putting forth, that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. This has to deal with your own personal issues with whatever I'm saying. If I'm saying something and you feel this need or this urge that you have to come out and attack me because of what I'm saying, then the real question is, why do you feel that need? Why is what I'm saying affecting you so much on a level that now you feel you have to come at me and kick off a battle? Don't do it. I'm a nice person, man. I'm one of the nicest people that I know. For real. I'm real nice. And I know people who are nice shouldn't say they're nice, but I'm just trying to make a point here. I'm real calm. I don't stress nothing. And I'm laid back. But don't get it twisted, man. Don't let this smile fool you. I'm here on a mission. I'm here on a mission. And the mission is to try to help other people wake up and become aware of their own abilities and powers that they have. I'm not special, and then I am special. I'm not special in the sense of these abilities that I have and powers or whatever you want to call them and knowledge is the same that you have. So in that sense, I'm not special. On the flip side, I am special because a lot of people are not using these abilities, and I am. And that this applies to all of you out there. You are special, and then you're not special. If you have these abilities, yes, it's special because you're using them, and most of the population is not using them. So in that sense, you are very special. And then it's not special because we all have these abilities. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. Now, yeah, let me kick off this. Yesterday I was on the train, headed off to work, and I had some information come at me. I told you before in my other videos, information just starts coming in at any time, and I just start writing it down. Downloads into me, I get into it, and this information was basically about psychic battling. Now, I don't want to read directly what I wrote down, but I'll just give you little tidbits on where I was coming from, or where this information was coming from. Yeah, and it did go into the fact that psychic battle. A psychic battle involves two or more parties. The best way to defuse a psychic battle, it's very simple. Don't acknowledge the person as a threat. That's it. The only way it kicks off into a battle is when you acknowledge someone as a threat, that someone's actually trying to come at you. I don't do psychic battle. You know why? Because no one is battling me. I'm not worried about anybody coming at me with some type of, whatever you want to call it, negative energy, trying to send some bad mojo my way, or whatever it is. That does not touch me. Why? Because my inner self, I make contact with my inner self, man. This is what I'm trying to help everybody else do. I told you before, when you make contact with that inner self, you don't worry about this nonsense. Psychic battles, I need to have my protection up. And yeah, of course, with the way the world is, there's a lot of subliminal messages, and back to that TV nonsense. I told you before, that TV, they're really sending things at you with all this, trying to shape your reality and get you to go out and spend your money and waste money on all these things. But yeah, in that sense, you do need to have your guard up. So if you want to regard that as a type of psychic protection or psychic defense, then yeah, I guess you could use it in that sense. But that's just more of just be aware. If you're aware of the nonsense and you will focus more on yourself and your inner reality and your inner self, none of that stuff could touch you. I don't care what a person's working with. You see me? And I'm not trying to be on a conceited tip right now, but I know my power. I'm aware of my power. Anybody, I'm not starting a beef or battle with anybody, but I'm just saying this for future reference. If anyone thinks that they can send some type of energy or whatever they want to send at me to try to screw with my head or try to enter my realm, it's not going to happen, man. My guides are all powerful. So if you try to send anything at me, you're just wasting your time and energy because it won't even touch me. I won't even notice it. So don't waste your time. And this applies to everyone else out there that I'm talking to. When you know your power is absolute, you don't worry about anyone trying to throw anything at you. You don't worry about nonsense. This is going back to what I said about detaching from it all. Once you detach, I told you, I may have mentioned in some of my past videos, excuse me, but the best thing I could have ever done in my life was to detach from everything, all titles, all labels. Now I know people might say, well, what are you talking about? You are using a title right now. You're calling yourself, a dark artist and a god in training. Yes, that's true. But see, the difference is those are titles that I chose to use, titles that I want for myself. Because since we live in this world, names have power, and we use names. We should be using telepathy. We shouldn't even be talking. Communication, actually, verbal communication is one of the lowest forms of communication. But since we're here, we have to use it for now. Although there are some people that I know personally, we don't have to use that. We communicate through the astral realms and through other realms. And that's another video, man. But, we communicate directly. We don't need to go through all that. That's another video. But anyway, yeah. What was I saying, man? I apologize. I just woke up. But yeah, anyway. Um, don't worry about all this nonsense out here. You need to detach. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Once you detach from all of it, you stop worrying about any nonsense coming your way. But you have to detach from it all. Now, once again, this is just what works for me. And this is not for everybody. It takes a real strong mind and a real powerful minded person to go this route that I'm talking about. Because once you go this route, it's a solitary path. Of course, I still communicate with people and I still have love for people. But at the same time, once you detach from everything, this is when the responsibility goes back into your own hands. You're not dependent on someone else telling you who you need to be or who you are. I don't care about titles, man. I said this before. I don't care about titles. I don't care about race. I don't care about nationality. I don't see any of that stuff. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter at all. Black, Latino, white, Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, whatever you want to get at, it just doesn't matter to me. Those are just labels that somebody made up. Somebody made them up, and that was created to keep us divided from each other. So I don't see labels. The level that I'm at right now, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but I'm just making a point. The level that I have reached, and there's no levels anyway, but I just have to use these words so people can understand what I'm talking about. Where I'm at right now in my life, that's all three-dimensional, physical world, excuse the language, bullshit. That's it. It's all bullshit. Oh, he doesn't know where he came from. I know where I'm from, and it ain't from here. I'll tell you that right now. And this applies to you too. Whatever you think you are, if it's connected to this place and it has a title as far as black, white, or some country, that's not who you are. And that's not who I am either. So for anyone talking about he's not in touch with his roots, or he doesn't know where he's coming from, or he don't know where he came from, and I'm telling you right now, it ain't from here. It's not from this place called Earth. I know what this is. It's a training system, man. And that's all it is. We come here, we experience things, and then we cut out once we have this so-called death from the physical reality. But, yeah. I don't want to get on a rant. I probably already have. But you know what I'm talking about, man. Detach. And you feel much better after it all. So, yeah, man. Just gotta detach. Detach from it all. And man, let me get into some other stuff because I don't want to keep sitting around here. But now, right, what I was talking about before. I was getting into I was talking about psychic battles, right? Yeah, I was. Now I got all this information and downloaded into me the other day. Yeah, so there's no need to battle anyone. The battle is always within yourself. With anything. When you hear certain information and it triggers something in you where you feel that you need to now attack this person or make a video and get at a person. you know, there's a person on YouTube who makes these videos, man. He calls himself the 13th Son, 13th Love, and he has some real good knowledge. The brother's kicking some real deep knowledge, passing it on to other people. And you have these clowns out here who want to make so-called, well, I can't remember, what's the word they have? Want to make these videos, with it debunking the 13th Son, or I can't think of the word right now, or basically trying to call him out or discredit him. Or if you have enough time to make a video to discredit somebody, what does that say about yourself, man? Or exposing the 13th Son and all this. If you have enough time to sit down and try to make a video to expose somebody, why are you not making your own videos? That 20 minutes you spent of trying to expose somebody, so-called expose someone, or debunk somebody, that's 30 minutes that you could have spent making your own video, spreading your own knowledge. People who make videos like that, these are people who don't have anything to share with anybody. These are people who don't have any real type of, they just have nothing. They have nothing to share. They have no real information to give out. So, they want to sit down, look at other people's videos and go, all right, yeah, ooh, what's he talking about? Oh, did you hear that? Oh, man, he said this. All right, I don't agree with that. Let me make a video and try to discredit him. Stop the nonsense, man. Don't do that. Go within, get information, and then you can make your own videos. And then you can say whatever you want to say. But don't go on other people's pages trying to tell them and dictate their moves on how they teach. Now, what else we got here? So yeah, the battle is within. And basically, anytime, I wrote some stuff down here. Just want to make my points, because you know me. I make a video and then I finish and I go, God damn, I forgot to say what I wanted to say. I left out some important points. Yeah, I don't care if what a person tells you. The only time a person could get in here is if you let them in. You have to let them in. If a person tells you, excuse the language, but they say you ain't worth shit, you're useless, you're a piece of trash, you're nobody. Those are just words, man. And the only way that takes effect and takes hold in your mind is if you accept that. If you really do believe you ain't shit. If you believe you ain't shit. If a person says you ain't shit, man, you ain't nothing, you ain't going nowhere. If that hurts you, if that actually affected you, that means somewhere deep down inside you truly believe you ain't shit. And that goes into casting spells upon yourself or letting other people cast spells upon you. Now, a long time ago, when I was in one of my travels, I had wrote down something in reference to, the most powerful. I was on a journey one time, and I realized that I had to battle the most powerful force in the universe. And I realized that the most powerful force in the universe that I had to battle was not reptilians, it was not the Greys, it was not ETs, it was not the Illuminati, it wasn't the New World Order, or any of these other titles people are using out here. The real battle was my own mind. That is the most powerful force in the universe. Your own consciousness or your own mind, or there's many names to call it, but it's within you. That's the most powerful force in the universe that you have to overcome. Because that's where the real destruction comes in. The most damaging force in the universe to yourself is yourself, because that's the only thing that could hurt you. By letting other people come at you and drop some, cast something upon you, they say a certain word to you, and, I also got some information the other day in one of my travels and when I was on the train in another realm. And this was about words where they go into, you heard the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's not completely true. It really isn't. Because, we have to communicate with verbal language, and verbal language is actually, I think, well, the 13th Son has said it many times, and it is true though. True knowledge is true knowledge. It does cast spells upon you, and it casts spells on yourself. Um, it could cast a spell upon you, and it could reshape your reality, and it could reshape other people's realities. And this is what happens all the time. This is why they have these labels of black, white. You have to be careful of the titles that you use. Like I said, unless you're making your own titles up. But you have to be careful of these titles, you see? Because once you take on certain labels, you take in all of the negative connotations that go along with those labels as well. You have to take all that in, and you start believing in that stuff. So, yeah, you have to be careful of the names and titles that you use for yourself. They can empower you, or there's so many different levels this goes into, man. There's so many different things that you can get into. But basically, yeah, just be careful of the names that you use. I say, make up your own name. Make up your own titles. And this is what people don't realize, man. Every name that we have for something, this is just something that somebody made up at some point in our so-called time in history. Somebody sat down, they said, all right, well, this is going to be called whatever it is, whatever it is, man. They said, this will be called, okay, this is a shoe. And people said, okay, a shoe, all right, well, all right, this is a shoe. Okay, well, it's a shoe. And then that word spread. And then other people started calling it a shoe. And now we have shoes. We can get into etymology and start going, well, what is the meaning of this and what's this and that? But see, yes, etymology is important because you can see what the meaning of these words are, the origin, and you can get the real spell work behind it and see when certain people use words, what kind of things are they trying to cast upon your mind and your consciousness. But on the deeper level, like I said, once you get past all of that, you realize that they're just words, and words can have many definitions, and you can take the definition and change it if you want into something else. You don't have to follow the same definition. Just because it's in a book doesn't mean, that that's the only way it has to be. There's so many different angles. And like I said before, there's so many other. Time is simultaneous, man. I told you this before. Everything's happening at once, all time. Past, present, and future. I keep mentioning that, and I know people are going to say, why does he keep bringing that up? But I have to. I have to keep bringing this up to make people aware that all time is happening now. Your so-called reincarnational selves are happening now. You're a man and a female now. Everything is happening right now. It's all happening now. And this so-called, what we call physical reality, is just one of our points of reference in so-called space and time. So, yeah, that's what it is. Now, today, I'm switching channels now. I'm switching to something new. Now, I usually don't like to read from books. I believe, like I said, you go within, get your deep knowledge. But when I do have a good book and I see something that's true, real knowledge is real knowledge, right? So, and good knowledge is good knowledge. And this is just something that I want to share with all of you, that so-called, what we say, alternative history that we would never hear. This information I'm about to drop on all of you, this is something that religion or so-called history and things like that, they definitely wouldn't want to hear this, what I'm about to drop on you. And today, I'll put something on you about the speakers. Who are the speakers? What are the speakers? And I'm going to just read to you from this book here that I have. And you all know by now what book I like to get my info from. Now, I'm going to just read it. I'm not going to go into it, because people are going to think, oh, he's trying to push this book again on people. Like I said, it works for me, and hey, I've gotten a lot of deep information from it, and it's helped me in my travels. But I'm not going to mention a name because I don't want people to think I'm trying to sell anything. So I'm just going to read you the information, then you can take it, do your own research, or go within and find out if what I'm saying can be validated or not. Now, let's go to the speakers. It says there were tribes, excuse me, there were tribes who never learned to write in Africa and Australia, who also knew these secrets, and men called speakers, who memorized them and spread them upward, even throughout northern portions of Europe before the time of Christ. It says offhand, the work could take 5 years, for there were several versions and a group of leaders, each going in different directions, who taught their people. The world was far more. Okay, sorry. I'm going to skip that. Alright, so you see what they said? They were tribes of men who never learned to read or write, and they were from Africa and Australia. And they were called speakers, and they memorized basically the knowledge. They didn't write things down. Let me continue. It said the Druids obtained some of their concepts from the speakers, so that the Egyptians, the speakers, predated the emergence of any religions that you know, and the religions of the speakers arose spontaneously in many scattered areas, then grew like wildfire from the heart of Africa and Australia. There was one separate group in an area where the Aztecs dwelled at a later date, though the land mass was somewhat different then. And some of the lower cave dwellings at times were underwater. Excuse me, there's something in my throat. Now, continuing. It goes, various bands of the speakers continued through the centuries because they were trained so well that messages retained their authenticity. They believed, however, that it was wrong to set words into written form and so did not record them. They also used natural earth symbols, but clearly understood the reasons for this. The speakers singly existed in your Stone Age period and were leaders. Their abilities helped the cavemen survive. There was little physical communication, however, in those days between the various speakers, and some were unaware of the existence of the others. Their message was as pure and undistorted as possible. It was for this reason, however, through the centuries, that many who heard it translated it into parables and tales. I'm going to skip into some other stuff. It goes into this. The speakers were the first to impress this inner knowledge upon the physical system to make it physically known. Sometimes only 1 or 2 speakers were alive in several centuries. Sometimes there were many. They looked around them and knew that the world sprang from their interior reality. They told others they knew that the seemingly solid natural objects about them were composed of many minute consciousnesses. They realized that from their own creativity they formed idea into matter, and that the stuff of matter itself was conscious and alive. They were intimately familiar with the natural rapport existing between themselves and their environment, therefore, and knew that they could alter their environment through their own acts. Alright, that's basically going to get back to nature, as many people have said, and 13th Son has said, you gotta get back to nature, man. Now, what else we have here? It says here, just trying to pick out all the important points that I just want to get across. Alright, it says they can impress others with great import through their communications. They can move from inner to outer reality with easy ability. They know instinctively how to use symbolism. They are highly creative on an unconscious level, constantly forming psychic frameworks beneath normal consciousness that can be used both by themselves and others in dream and trance states. They often appear to others in a dream condition, and they help dreamers in the manipulation of inner reality. They form images with which the dreamers can relate, images that can be used as bridges and then as gateways into kinds of consciousness more separated from your own. Then it starts to get more deep. It says the symbolism of the gods, the idea of the gods on Olympus, for example, the crossing over point at the river Styx, that kind of phenomenon was originated by the speakers. The symbolisms and frameworks of religion, therefore, had to exist not only in the physical world, but also in the unconscious one. All right, and there's just one last point I want to get across. Yeah, it goes into Egypt. It says the Egyptian religion was largely based upon the work of the speakers, and great care was given to their training. The outward manifestations given to the masses of the people became so distorted, however, that the original unity of the religion finally decayed. Yeah. Um, and this point here. It says here, sorry. So now the speakers are familiar um, with the rules basically of inner and outer reality. And at times they work within organizations as in Egypt, where they work through the temples and became involved with the power structures. As a rule, though, however, they are far more solitary. And I'm going to finish with this. Because of the true simultaneous nature of time, they are, of course, speaking to all of your ages at once through various manifestations. On occasion, they often serve as mediators, introducing each other to two incarnations of one personality, for example. And it goes on and goes on. Now, I don't want to keep reading and reading. You could do your own research into it. I gave you enough info right there. But I could continue on this because I already, from my own travels, I've already gone into this as well and picked up the information. See, this is what I'm saying. Book info. Um, I'm not against book info. I mean, there's a lot of garbage out there. There's a lot of garbage info. But when you do come across some info that seems really good, you know, it's funny. Sometimes you could tell when a book has some truth in it because if a lot of people are not up on it, it probably has some powerful truth in it. If a lot of people are calling it the work of the devil, evil, don't read it, it probably has something in it that is probably valid. If it's one of the super top sellers, the New York Times and all this other stuff, it's probably some garbage that is being pushed out to give to the masses. So, yeah, basically, the speakers, they existed before any religion. They existed before any religion, and most of the so-called religions, they got their messages from these speakers. Now, I like the point where this information went into the speakers originated from Africa and Australia, because a lot of historians would like you to believe that Africa was just this, you know, dirty place with some dirty tribes who were running around with sticks and scavenging and, you know, just living like animals, man. They never want to go into the real deep knowledge of what was happening in Africa. They want to keep giving us this Hollywood version of people with, you know, tiger skins and sticks and arrows and whatever they're trying to push. And also mentioned Australia. It said two key points. So this information that the speakers are putting forth, of course, this was existing before physical reality, but once it started to come into physical reality and really start spreading out, it originated, it really kicked off from Africa and Australia. Australia would probably be the Aborigines, and in Africa you have, you know, many tribes of people, Dogon or whoever. And from my understanding of it, this would go into, you see where the information says that they didn't write things down. Now, when you look at all of the ancient civilizations or tribes, and when you go back in time, people in Africa, Australia, they didn't really have this system of book knowledge or writing things down. It was really more of a passing on, word to word, mouth to mouth, you know, type of deal, where they would just pass the information along. And you had people who were specially trained to maintain that knowledge. I guess you would call them so-called elders or whatever titles they use. These people would keep this knowledge going. And when you listen to a lot of accounts of some tribal people, and through history, you would see that Western powers, and they did this across the board to many cultures, They basically came in and milked the minds of all these shamans and tribes, got all the information, and then they turned around and killed them all. Once they got this info, man. Once they learned the deep secrets and the knowledge, they learned it. They befriended the people and pretended they were there to help them. And then once they saw that this stuff was real and they were really working with something, they said, all right, we got to get rid of these cats now because we need to use this power for ourselves to further our quest of domination of whatever continents they were going to. And from my understanding, what I feel happened is that these Western powers, or European powers, they're going to call it, they started to travel. And once they saw wherever they landed at, and they saw that these tribal people and native peoples had this knowledge, they went out on a full quest to say, all right, well, if they have this here, we need to start hitting up all the other civilizations across the globe and get their knowledge as well. And what they realized when they started to travel was that the civilizations had the same type of similar knowledge. So this further validated what they were coming into. So they were like, damn, all right, well, they had this over here in Africa, and we went to South America, and they got the same thing, and they got these temples, they got these pyramids, there's something to this. We need to get all this info, and then we need to get rid of them, and then use this info for our own advantage. So, now also with the speakers, they use symbolism instinctively. So, a lot of times, now, I'm not religious at all, you all know this. I'm not a religious person, but the information went into how they use imagery or images of people or things that, how should I say this? Whatever is the most influential image to you, this is how the information is going to come to you. So, if you're a religious person, the speakers may approach you in the form of Jesus or Moses or Muhammad. Well, they don't really have a vision of Muhammad, but the voice of Muhammad probably. It might approach you as a certain deity that you're into. The images are just images. It's just images. So the important point is just the message. Now I'm going to drop something on you right now. People who like to come talking about, oh, you got to get back into the church, you got to do all this stuff. Well, I went to Catholic school basically my whole life. And I'm telling you right now, when I was there, some of my abilities started to kick in. I remember this is when I started getting it kicked off by, say for example, I remember it so clearly. It started off with songs. So like I would hear a song in my mind, or I would get an image. Okay, let's go with song. I would get a song in my mind, and when I turned on the radio, that song was playing. Like it would play like the next song, and then it started where I would, I remember this one experience. I would sit down on the couch. I'm just in my room, no TV's on, and a thought would hit me, the movie, Back to the Future. So, Back to the Future. And when I turn on the TV, it'd be like, tonight on the WB, Back to the Future. And this started happening at an alarming rate, man. It was getting so good that I started to get, not nervous, but excited. I was like, man, what is this? And I was on a roll, man. I was on a real good roll. I was like, man, it's like every time I had this thought, I would just run, turn on the TV, turn the radio, and it would be there, or seeing things before they would happen. So I remember, man, I was in high school, my Catholic high school, and I went to a priest, I went to this counselor they had, and I said, I was real serious at the time. I said, I have this ability, I don't know, can you explain it? And I'm seeing things before they happen, and I'm having visions of things, and thank God I wasn't weak even at that time, man. What did he tell me? I think he told me some nonsense about this is the devil, and he's trying to tempt me into whatever. And you see, this is how, if you're weak, and I was just a high school kid at that time, but if I was weak-minded even then, I would have went into a whole nother direction about possession, exorcism, demons, devil's trying to get me, and all this other nonsense, man. And it wasn't even nothing like that. It was my natural abilities kicking in, and instead of him trying to help me and say, look, You know, he could have used his symbolism. He could have said, well, look, you know, this is the power of God, and he's giving you these abilities to show you that you are also God, and you are one with him, and use your abilities to help others. But no, he wanted to go into something about how it was the devil, and the devil was trying to tempt me, man. So, you see what that is right there. But anyway, let me get in. I just hit 45. I'm sorry, everybody. I know this video is going long. Remember what I said, though. You don't got to watch it all, half and half. Now, quick thing about Jesus. Was Jesus real? Nobody knows. But like I said, thoughts have electromagnetic energy, and it crosses through all time. So if Jesus was not real, he became real because we created him through the power of our thoughts. Now, if you want to get into religion and Jesus, I crossed over one night. I gotta make this quick. I crossed over one night, and Jesus came to me, man. I crossed over into this reality. I was over in the Middle East somewhere. Could have been Pakistan, Afghanistan, one of these places. And the people were protesting a new government. They were throwing rocks, throwing, you know, kind of like little firebomb things. They were flipping over cars. They had machine guns. And when I looked to my right, who was it? It was Jesus. Now, nobody knows what Jesus looked like, but it was a typical image of Jesus of how we see him all the time. Well, at least the European image of him. You know, I don't think Jesus really looked like that with, you know, long hair in the eyes. But whatever, that's another time. But anyway, and he didn't speak to me. He didn't speak to me at all. He used telepathy, and he kind of just gave me the idea. And when I looked to my right, I said, "Oh man, Jesus!" And I laughed, and he smiled, but he didn't speak. And I said to him, I said, "Hey man," I said, "you look like a hippie." I said, "You must have been the first original hippie, man." And he laughed. And then he got on top of a car, and he didn't talk. And people were riding around him. Nobody saw him. And he pointed to the sky to tell me to look. And he started to control the weather. He was moving his hands. He was controlling the weather. And it was dark. And then he opened his hands, and he made the sun come out. And he was showing me, he was teaching me how to manipulate the sky. And he gave, and I received a message from him. Now, for those people who want to get on religion, this was the message from your so-called Jesus. He told me, basically, telepathy, telepathic message. He said, listen. Oh yeah, and there were some posters on the wall with whoever this new leader was that people were protesting about. And he started with his hand. He motioned his hand, and he started changing the messages on the poster to messages of peace. And what Jesus told me, he said, forget about the church. You're Jesus. He told me, he said, basically, forget about the church, because the church, the original message that he was trying to put forth, has been distorted. He said, don't worry about the church. Don't worry about the religions. Just focus on the message and keep teaching messages of peace and keep helping people get in contact with themselves. This was the message from your so-called Jesus. Forget about the church. The message has been distorted. Help people go within. And he was training me. I saw Jesus maybe 2 times. The second time I saw him, I was on an out-of-body astral travel. I was flying over this ocean, and he was flying the other way. And we both crossed each other, and we looked at each other, and we just waved, and he smiled, and he kept going in his own way. So I got to cut this video right now. I'm sorry. It's probably one of my longest videos, but I touched on a few things here. I'm sorry on the first part if I may have went on a little rant, but yeah, sorry about that. Much love to all my brothers and sisters out there who are watching these videos. Please hit me up, man. Hit me up with comments, or if you want to, you know, whatever you want to do. There's no pressure on anybody. If you don't want to comment, you don't have to comment. But don't be afraid to comment. I know some people sent me private messages saying that they were afraid to comment because they had nothing to say. If you have nothing to say, then don't say anything. Don't worry about it. But if you do want to say something, then come forward. Don't be afraid. Just, speak your mind and say what you want. Once again, for anyone trying to control my video, telling me what to say, what not to say, how to talk, what message I should give, I already said what I had to say on that. And yeah, I love all you guys. Um, give a shout out to the 13th Son. Enjoy your videos, brother. Keep it going. And yeah, that's about it for right now. So let me get out of here. Peace, love, and harmony as always. Stay strong. Don't let the haters bring you down. And work your power. I told you before. You're a God in training. And I don't care if you don't like that word. I'm going to use the word. You are a God in training. I'm a God in training. And I'm also a dark artist. And I'm not just a dark artist. I'm a Seth dark artist. If you want to know the meaning behind that name, go do your research. And if you think it's just the name for the book, or you think you just would stop at the research of the Egyptian name Seth, you got to go much deeper than that, because it has a much deeper meaning. But anyway, that's for your own, whatever you want to do with it. All right, let me get out of here. Bye-bye.